This one goes to all of you flat earthers out there. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever you are in the world or whatever is left of it. Welcome to another episode of Amazing Worlds. Today I'm going to be reviewing or introducing, giving an overall view of the Discworld series by the most beloved and much missed British author Terry Pratchett. Now, I had every intention of doing this video a bit later on, in a few weeks' time, but shout out to Ian at B&B Books, check out his channel. He did an author tag book, and I thought, Ian, hello, I'll do my bit. I find it difficult to pick a favourite author. There's many authors I've enjoyed over time, but I think Terry Pratchett most definitely in my top 3 authors out there. Now, I realized when I was preparing for the video that I really had to keep separate what is Discworld from what is Terry Pratchett. Terry Pratchett as a human being and as a person and the things he did, truly amazing and deserve a video on their own. Now, the Discworld series, obviously difficult to separate the two of them, they've been together for so long, but Discworld, amazing. Discworld is a 41 book series. Shouldn't call it a series because you can pick them individually, but it's a 41 novel sort of universe that takes place in the Discworld. I think the first one was published in 1980-81, something like that, and at some point in time Sir Terry Pratchett was putting out 2 novels a year, so Eat Your Heart Out, Brandon Sanderson. Discworld, one of the highest selling fantasy series of all time, depending on where you look, 85 million, so they are neck and neck with Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. Truly remarkable, fantastic accomplishment. I've got here a set of books in the series. The rest are at my parents' place in my old bedroom, and here I've also got the young adult Tiffany Achim character books, the last one, The Shepherd's Crown, the last ever Discworld novel. I mean, as I said, Discworld, I mean, incredible amount of sales. So Terry Pratchett got the World Fantasy Lifetime Achievement. He was knighted for services to literature. The BBC back in 2003 did a Goodreads poll where this was in critics. They asked almost 250,000 people what their favourite books of all time. So Terry Pratchett had 14 books in the top 200. No one else came close to that. In the top 100 he had 5 books, most novels by same author, tied with none other than Charles Dickens. Incredible writer. Now, Discworld. So, it is a fantasy world, but I was a bit put out by the covers. I first encountered Discworld when I arrived in the UK at university, and I saw one of the guys living in my corridor in my hall of residence. He was reading these novels, and I got put out by the cartoonish covers. I took my fantasy serious, Dragonlance, Dark Elf, by Salvatore, Lord of the Rings, all this kind of stuff. What's this humorous thing doing here? I don't like it. This is not fantasy. Boy, was I wrong. So I think at one point I went back home for holidays and I picked the first 2 books, Color of Magic, like fantastic, read them in Spanish. Yeah, okay. Somehow, for some reason, I don't know, I carried on, I ploughed on. At that point in time, I think the first 21 novels have been published, so I had some catching up to do. But I carried on reading, and and the more I read, the more you read, the world building gets better and better. You start getting the in-jokes, you start to get to know the characters, and everything comes together so fantastically well, and it's so wonderful, and you get so much out of it. I can honestly say Discworld has made me laugh out loud, literally, on the plane, on the train, on my commute, wherever I was, made me smile. And when Sir Terry Pratchett passed away, I actually, it was emotional for me to think that I would never be able to read any more Discworld, and that's why I actually I actually tried. I was putting out, I was delaying reading the Tiffany Aiken series because it was going to end. There would be nothing after I finished this, and the way Shepherd's Crown finishes, it made me cry as well. Made me laugh, made me cry. Incredible author, incredible world. So what is Discworld? As I said, it's a high fantasy world where the world is flat. It's a disc and it rests on the shoulders of 4 giant elephants who themselves rest on the back of a turtle, great ape twin, that travels through space. Crazy idea there, but actually rooted in Indian mythology, I believe. There's something there, and the Discworld is chock-a-block full of references to folk myths, legends, classic literature, and references to all those classic tales. But Sir Terry Pratchett always putting a spin there, always getting you to sort of think about where things are going, and then subverting your expectations. That every single trope is visited throughout his novels, but with a twist. The classic future king that has lost his kingdom and is raised from a child ignorant of his inheritance, and when he comes upon it, I'm not going to spoil anything there. The most amazing thing about Discworld is how it is, as the novels go on, the first few, all of them end with some sort of almost cataclysmic world-ending event where things, all of us, things get saved and the world stays by, a last-minute save deed performed by the main protagonist, and then it kind of settled around book 6, around Weird Sisters. Things kind of settle down. The world comes down. It's established, and we build on from there. Fundamentally, Discworld, apart from being a high fantasy setting with trolls, dwarves, goblins, vampires, werewolves, you find all that kind of stuff, but it's a satirical take, it's a social commentary of our world. It's almost like a twisted utopia of how the world should run. And it's just incredible, and the sharp wit and the perceptions and notions and the commentary on every aspect of life, from religion to bureaucracy to the military to technological advancement, that is done by Sir Terry Pratchett is incredible. It is truly amazing. You're not going to read Discworld because you're going to get taken away to a fantasy land to follow heroes performing incredible feats of courage and honor and strength, which you have all of that, you do. But when you relate what the characters do and the actions that take place with the real world, and you see the intelligence and the brightness and the wit, that sort of cynical take on our world and the social commentary, that's when you really appreciate the amazing, wonderful insight that Terry Pratchett had, and none other than Neil Gaiman, who obviously collaborated with Sir Terry Pratchett when they co-wrote Good Omens, when he put it.
Given that he risked being trivialized, Terry was somebody who fought for years to try and make people understand that funny and serious are not opposites. Mm-hmm. The opposite of funny is not funny. Mm-hmm. 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 You can absolutely be funny and serious at the same time, and Terry was. Mm-hmm. So here's somebody who has fought to be taken seriously and to make people realize that you can write a serious novel set in a fantasy context on a flat world, on the back of elephants, on the back of a giant turtle floating through space, and it can still be a real novel. And he's got there.
So, where to begin? Where do you read Discworld? How did you get involved into it? The amazing thing about Discworld is that there are 41 novels, but you do not have to read them all to appreciate what's happening, to enjoy them. And they're all standalone. You don't have to read a whole series of 4 or 5 books, except for the first 2, Color of Magic and Life Fantastic, who follow from each other. Every other book you can pick them up, any one of them. You can read them, and you're going to get a beginning to end complete story there, and that's great. However, there are, I think, better entry points than others. There are, and you follow different characters, so some of the characters end up sort of becoming regulars. By the way, there are some truly amazing people have made some truly amazing, wonderful reading guides to Discworld animated, like this one and this other one there that used to exist as a dynamic wheel online. I don't know what's happened to that. So I'll put the links in the description below, you can check them out. But sometimes it's good if someone can sort of talk you through them. There are sort of main characters in the Discworld series that you can follow. So you start in book number 1, Color of Magic. So you follow Rincewind, which is this hapless, completely useless wizard, and you can follow Rincewind in Color of Magic, Life Fantastic, Sorcery, Interesting Times, Last Continent, and Unseen Academicals. So all those books revolve around Rincewind and the wizards at Unseen University in Discworld, and you can pick any of those. I would recommend probably Interesting Times. Maybe you're gonna pick a standalone one. Unseen Academicals, it was one of the later ones written in Sir Terry Pratchett's life when Alzheimer's was starting to have effects on him. He wrote the last few books with the help of his assistant Rob Wilkins. They're not as good as his earlier work. That's not to say that they are bad, because every single Discworld novel is great. I think they are all worth a read and wonderful, and surely I will be revisiting them in the future. But I think the latter works are not as good as the middle sort of part of the opus. But certainly Interesting Times is a good one. Then my favourite set of characters, the City Watch, the city of Ankh-Morpork, where a lot of the action takes place, run by Lord Veterinary, who is a patrician. He is a tyrant, kind of molded in the ancient Greek democracy that contemplated that at certain times of turmoil, maybe a tyrant, a single governor with absolute power, would be the best way to run the country. He sits in power, and he, being an ex-assassin, manipulates people into doing his bidding without them really having a choice to say so. But anyway, we've got the City Watch that follows Captain Vimes as he takes over a rammed down city watch in the lawlessness that is Ankh-Morpork, and turns her into a fully functioning operating army. So all that series of the City Watch for me are the best novels. Starting with Guards, fantastic, Men-at-Arms, Feet of Clay, Jingo, The Fifth Elephant, Night Watch, Thud and Snuff. Thud and Snuff are late novels into the Discworld, but I'll certainly recommend Guards, Men-at-Arms. It's just really, they are brilliant. Another one of the most loved characters in the Discworld is Death himself, and the Death series. So Mort, Reaperman, Soul Music, Hogfather, and Thief of Time all follow Death. Death is a great character, much beloved, always speaks in small uppercase letters, sort of give you a feel for how he sort of communicates telepathically with the dead, and he's there to collect everyone and take them in the last journey. And Death having like a keen interest to understand humans. So all those books are really good. Particularly the first couple, Mort and Reaperman, are from sort of early Discworld era type thing, with the world building still taking place. And the first one, it left an impact on me, and it was such a wonderful take on the character and dealing with death that really recommendable. Another one of the much beloved characters in the Discworld are the witches, the three witches, especially Granny Weatherwax. Granny Weatherwax is the sort of the head of this coven of witches. Equal Rights being the first one in the series, then Weird Sisters, Witches Abroad, Lords and Ladies, Masquerade, and Carpe Jugulum. At first I wasn't so keen on the witches. I don't know, I found their stories a little bit less appealing to me, but when we got to Lords and Ladies there, that was a really interesting take on elves and how elves are represented in a more sort of Tolkien-esque modern fantasy iteration of the character of an elf, of the figure of an elf, to the more way traditional ancient fairy tale take on elves, which are much more evil, mischievous characters there. So you've got that going on. The witches, very, very popular. And tied in with the witches, you've got the Tiffany Aching books. Is the 5 books that follow Tiffany Aching, a young girl that trains to be a witch. So we meet her in book 1. I think book 1 is the Wee Free Men, as a little girl, and then we see her grow up until she becomes an adult in The Shepherd's Crown. I don't know why they are marketed for young adults. They fit they're a little bit shorter, but they fit perfectly well, and the writing style doesn't really change, and they fit perfectly well in the Discworld universe. So to me they are part and core of Discworld. I read these ones all one after the other, rather than in publishing order, so I broke it up in between. Still enjoyable, very, very heart-wrenching finishing in The Shepherd's Crown. Another great character in Discworld that I wish we had seen more of is Moist von Lipwick. He is a con artist who was going to be executed, and Lord Veterinary picks him out of prison and tasks him, whenever he sees fit, tasks him with seemingly impossible tasks. And here we see Sir Terry Pratchett's take on modernization of the world and its sort of reflections of what society went through at the time. So in the first Moist series, Going Postal sees Veterinary tasking Moist with the development implementation of a telegraph system, which is called the clacks in Discworld, because all these towers that clack, 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 and sort of long distance communication. In the second book of the series, Making Money, Moist starts to setting up the first bank, and how people had to adjust from using gold and silver as currency to these bits of paper that don't have any value, so why would people use them? And you can sort of see that my books are falling apart because I took some out earlier, but I think we're safe. So yeah, that adjustment from a trade or from a bartering or from a sort of hard precious metals currency to paper money is really great. And Raising Steam, I think it was the penultimate book there in the series, the advent of steam-powered trains, when Moist is set up to create the first long-distance train system. They're very British. For those of you that may not have lived there, the Brits do have a law for the trains and the train system and steam trains, and I think Sir Terry reflected that there. So those are the main characters that you can follow in the Discworld: Rincewind, the City Watch, Death, the Witches, and Moist. But that doesn't cover all the books. Then you have standalone books that you can pick up for different different themes explored there. So Monstrous Regiment being one of them. Nice twist there in that story. Small Gods, dealing with religion and stuff like that. Pyramids, there's so many. And like I said, I keep repeating, every single book you can pick up individually and read, and it's a self-contained story. My take is, I don't know, I read them in publication order, and if you decide to do that, it's hard to commit to a 41 book series not knowing whether you're going to like it or not. And maybe if you start with Color of Magic and Light Fantastic, let me tell you, it's a bit of a grower, or at least for me it was. And it wasn't until by book 5, 6, 7, and you think, oh my god, I have to read 7 books before I start enjoying it. Not necessarily, but the payoff is far greater if you're willing to give it the time to read them in publication order. It's a bit like, I don't know, compare it to the TV show The Wire. It's a slow burner, you know. You're not there for the quick, cheap thrill to get you hooked from the word go. The books are enjoyable by themselves, but this is not fantasy as you understand it. If you're just used to reading Sanderson or Tolkien or Brent Weeks, things like that, this is very, very different. It's all, I don't know, it's hard to pinpoint. It's such a unique setting and such a unique way to deal with very real world and real life issues that there's no real comparison out there. Although, if I got this wrong, please let me know in the comments. So I think the payoff is far greater, because as you grow with the world, because I think for Sir Terry Pratchett it was a bit of writing journey and discovery. As he develops the world, you grow with it, and then you start to get the in-jokes and that sort of thing, and when a certain character appears in the background or gets mentioned 4 books later, you go, oh yeah, and that's very satisfying in that way. I don't know if I would like to, I don't know if what I would have done if I was faced with a 41 book universe now, and someone like me told me, oh, the first, it will take you a few books to really get to enjoy it. I may decide to pick maybe the City Watch and take it from there. But at some point, if I enjoyed, say, the first 2 books on the City Watch, I think I would like to go back to the beginning and read in publication chronological order. My impression. Or perhaps, if I was a young reader, I would probably start with the Tiffany Aching series, with The Wee Free Men and what are the books here? I Shall Work Midnight and A Hatful of Sky and those 5 books there. But I would stop at the 4th book, because there is such a sad ending and such a crucial revelation in The Shepherd's Crown that I would like to leave that for the very end, because it was the last book read in the series. So, Discworld is very close to my heart. I started reading it at university when I was probably 18, 19, and I read the last book, I think it was 1-2 years ago, The Shepherd's Crown. So really, for all my adult life, I have been reading Discworld and Sir Terry Pratchett. You know, he's written other things like the Long Earth series with Stephen Baxter. If you haven't seen it, check my review of the Long Earth series there. Good Omens, which I haven't read but has been sitting on my Amazon wishlist for years. There were a few computer game adaptations of Discworld, so I really enjoyed playing Discworld Noir. That was fantastic, and I think very true to the spirit of the book. So if you got an old system, or you can make it still run under Steam in new computers, really enjoyable graphic adventure with great voice acting in there. So that's Discworld. Very unique. It's a very unique, very niche thing, and very much enjoyed and very much liked when Sir Terry Pratchett left in his will. He sort of instructed his daughter, who runs the state, to destroy his computers. Every unfinished work was destroyed. His assistant Rob Wilkins got a steam roller, and they literally smashed his computer. I think this is not superheroes. This is not Batman that every author can come and put their ideas or style on Batman or Superman or the X-Men and write their own stories. This is very personal and very unique to Sir Terry Pratchett. Very happy that it's been left as it is. 41 novels, more than enough for anyone to really enjoy and get different things out of it without some other author coming in and trying to get the characters and move them forward. I think Sir Terry did a wonderful job with those characters, and you've got everything you could wish for. And you want strong female characters, Granny, Lady Sybil, Tiffany, Lady Margalotta, all great. You want to deal with religion, you've got that. You want to deal with death, you've got. You want to deal with racism, it's there. Men and women's rights, equality, it's all reflected there. History, the impact of technological advancement in society, it's there. It's just a truly wonderful, amazing world, and sometimes it makes you wish that society was run like Discworld. It's all very rational. It makes sense, So I'm not really going to go into many more details here. I could be talking about Discworld for hours and hours. So yeah, that is my introduction to the Discworld, my reading guide, one of my favorite authors, Terry Pratchett. Thank you, Ian, for giving me the impetus to finally record this. I'm going to spend quite a bit of time editing it because I want it to be as good as I can make it be. But anyway, people, please like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you. I'm just about making it. It's been 5 weeks of confinement here in Spain. My kids have literally not stepped out of the house in 5 weeks. We're just about managing. We're trying to stay positive. But tough times. I hope everyone is keeping safe, fine, trying to be patient. Stay safe, stay positive, keep reading, keep watching, take lots of care, and see you next time. Bye.